And our first example comes from the Financial Times. Countries reject China pandemic product batches, is the piece published on March the 29th. It says several states in the EU and neighborhood raise fears over quality of supplies. This is an important story for sure, but this article only gives part of the picture. The first incident the article cites was some 600,000 Chinese-made masks which were shipped to the Netherlands but reportedly defective. The article quoted from the Dutch health authority but did not give any Chinese perspective a voice. It didn't contact the Chinese embassy either, it appears, because otherwise they would have mentioned the effort. In fact, the Chinese embassy in the Netherlands posted a statement over the weekend at almost exactly the same time when the article appears to have been published, reacting to the matter. The statement, according to China's ambassador, pointed out that some of the masks purchased from China are not appropriate for the medical staff of the ICU, but the situation was being looked into. The Dutch side, according to the statement, also expressed sincere gratitude to China for its strong support and assistance in combating the outbreak. So both sides still needed to investigate the situation at the time when the story was published. Clearly, the Financial Times went ahead to publish a story before it was properly done. Right after the imperfect Dutch example, the story quickly swerves into political territory. It quotes, EU's top diplomat has branded Beijing's use of the politics of generosity in a battle of narratives over who were the most reliable international partners in the global crisis. So what's the connection between the quality of Chinese equipment with the motivation behind Chinese assistance? What does the paper want to imply? That China not only has hidden political motivations, but is trying to achieve that with defective products? What a sinister country China must be. I don't think I need to waste more time on such patchwork journalism when the doctors and nurses are making do with plastic aprons, even diving masks in front of a deadly virus. Politicians or editors are warning against China's dark intentions or defective products. I guess they must not be in dire need of a mask, otherwise they would know even a defective mask is better than none. Our next example comes from Radio France International. The headline from March the 27th reads, Face mask diplomacy benefits Chinese billionaires. It implies, at least to me, that these billionaires are profiting from the huge demand for masks. That impression is actually reinforced by the sub-opening, which says, as the coronavirus continues its global spread far beyond the outbreak epicenter of Hubei province, thousands of factories in China have turned to a new and very profitable export market, face masks. Scandalous, or scandaleux, the French would say. Chinese trying to cash in on a disaster? But if you look into the article, the only billionaire mentioned was China's richest man, Alibaba's Jack Ma, and he didn't all of a sudden start making or selling masks, but jumped into action, providing 2 million masks to be distributed across European countries, and he pledged a total of 1.1 million coronavirus test kits, 6 million masks, and 60,000 medical protective suits and face shields to the African continent. Yes, the billionaire is donating all of these materials. Now, if you read the title of the article once again, you'll see it still stands upright like a roly-poly toy. Face mask diplomacy benefits Chinese billionaire, yeah, by building on its soft power. So that's how Chinese billionaires are profiting from other people's sufferings, by doing charitable job. But wait, the article still goes on to say Chinese manufacturers are making money out of the crisis. It quotes a sales manager from South China's Guangdong province, as quoted by the agency AFP, that a mask machine is a real cash printer. That's a blunt way of putting it, I admit. But for businesses, that's just the cold truth. And the world should be happy that these factories are printing masks like crazy. So long as they're reasonably priced and of good quality, nobody should blame them for having a smart business mind. One last thing, nobody in China is forcing anybody to buy masks. In these times of need, China has stepped up to the plate because it can. So take it or leave it. I hope the writer of this article looks carefully before putting on his or her masks, lest it benefits a Chinese billionaire. My last example shows how the same story can be told in a more balanced and nuanced way. The New York Times published the article, "China pushes to churn out protective gear, yet struggles to police it," on March the 27th. Well, the title is still very sensationalist, but never mind, let's look into the content. And here you see how headline illustrates the complexities of the situation, at least. It's not so black and white. It's not about one side taking advantage of the other. Rather, it's a critical situation where everyone trying to do their best. The article talks about the balance that must be struck when it says, even as it encourages production, the Chinese government has also had to step up enforcement efforts to stop defective and uncertified products. It also points out details that other articles miss. The faulty kits bought by Spain, for example, were not on Beijing's list of certified providers, nor a supplier to aid packages organized by Chinese companies like Alibaba, the e-commerce giant. That's the quality problem. The quality problem isn't confined to China. In the US, an initial coronavirus test kit rolled out by the government contained a faulty indicator, and that the Chinese government is taking steps to solve the problem to stamp out counterfeits and shoddy goods. For readers who truly want to understand the situation, these details matter. Given COVID-19 is a real race against time with incredibly high stakes, not everything is going to go perfectly. And sadly, some people will always try to make profits from disasters. But it is inaccurate and irresponsible to link these issues to specific countries or peoples. What really counts in this global fight is saving lives